Many years ago, in 1964, the New York Times carried a true story about Kitty Genovese. Approximately about 3:20 a.m. on the morning of March the 13th, 28-year-old Kitty was returning home after a night shift in a nice middle-class neighborhood in the area of Queens in New York. She parked her car in the parking lot and started walking towards her apartment. Suddenly, a man came from behind and stabbed her. She screamed. Lights went on the 10th floor apartment building nearby. She yelled, "Oh my God, please help me." Windows opened in the apartment building, and a man's voice shouted, "Leave that girl alone." The attacker looked up and walked off down the street. Kitty struggled to get up. Soon, the attacker came back and stabbed her again. She then cried out for help, "I am dying." And again, the lights came on, the windows opened in many of the apartment buildings. It was almost 3:50 a.m. when the police received the first call, meaning 30 minutes after this incident took place. Dear friends, today's gospel is the first century equivalent of the story we just heard. It is a familiar story of the Good Samaritan. We all know that story. The parable of the Good Samaritan is told by Jesus in answer to a question raised by a lawyer, Jewish lawyer. In this case, the lawyer would have been an expert on the Mosaic law, but not in the civil or criminal laws of our modern times. The lawyer's question was very simple. "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" The question provided Jesus with an opportunity to explain or to define how his disciples should relate to their neighbors. The gospel says that the lawyer had put this question to test Jesus, but the parable does not indicate any such hostility in that question. Probably he was trying to get some information about the laws in general. Jesus answers the question using what is called the Socratic method. It's a method introduced by the famous Greek philosopher Socrates. The method is answering a question with another question. And so Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? What is your reading of that?" By referring to the law, Jesus is directing the scribe to an authority they both would accept as the truth, the Torah, the Old Testament. Jesus thus avoids an argument with him and put himself in the position of evaluating the scribe's answer instead of the lawyer evaluating Jesus' answer. In this gospel story, the last person to arrive at the scene or to the injured man on the roadside is a Samaritan, the one least likely to have compassion for a helpless man lying there. Samaritans were considered as low-class citizens by that time by the Jews because they had intermarried with non-Jews, and that was against their law. We do not know if the injured man was a Gentile or a Jew, but that made no difference to the Samaritan because he did not consider the man's race or religion or anything of his background. The Good Samaritan saw only a person in dire need of help and assisted him above all and beyond the minimum required. The Samaritan saw this neighbor as anyone who is in need. By ending the encounter with the scribe in this manner, Jesus is telling each one of us to follow the Samaritan's example in our life, in our conduct. That is, by setting aside our biases, prejudices, we are to show compassion and love to anyone we encounter in our daily life. Therefore, we need to remember that the road from Jerusalem to Jericho passes right through our homes, through our parish, through our community, through our workplace. Dear friends, today's liturgy teaches us to ask not only the question, who is my neighbor, but also, am I a good neighbor to others? Jesus has given us a new definition of neighbor. It may not be the next door neighbor as many people would think. In the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 18 says, the neighbor was the one who was to be loved at that time, such as their countrymen. The new definition of neighbor is one who loves others. Thus, Jesus also answered the question that was not really asked by the scribe, which is, who is capable of becoming a neighbor? Finally, the real love of a neighbor does not seek any legal limits, but rather always looks for opportunities to help those who are in real need.